Hello, today is Thursday, December 12th, the Feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. We kind of interrupt the Advent season to celebrate this wonderful event that took place in 1531. It was after the conquest by the Spaniards of Mexico and the continuing conquest of the Spaniards throughout what we now call Central and Latin America. And when I was growing up, history books kind of painted it as being something a little less than it really was. It was brutal and destructive. It was humiliating. It was devastating. All colonization, no matter what part of the world, whether it was in the Americas or Africa or Asia, all of that was a brutal, brutal conquest. And it really created suffering and pain. Not only did people get conquered, but then they were supposed to adopt European ways. And that was true in 1531. The church started to send missionaries who proclaimed the gospel, but got little response, except from a few native Aztecs. One of them was a man whose baptized name became Juan Diego. And he was going to Mass one morning on December 9th in 1531. And as he was coming over a hill at Tepeyac, a place outside of Mexico City, he encountered the vision of a woman who told him to go to the bishop and say, "Build a church here in my honor." Well, he did that, and the bishop didn't listen. He said, "I need a sign." Well, it was a few days later, on the 12th of December, that he was given that sign. Juan met that same woman in a vision in that same place on December 12th. And there were roses growing in December on a mountainside. They never should have been there. And she told him to hold up his serape, and she placed the roses in there and said, "This will be a sign for him." And so he carefully held those roses in and took them to the bishop. And when he opened his serape, serape is a cape made of cactus fiber. He opened it up, and there was this gorgeous painting of an Aztec princess, obviously pregnant, dark-complected like Juan Diego. And it was the vision that he saw. Well, that picture on that serape is still in Mexico City almost 500 years later. And that picture has been for many, many people of color the promise of God's great love. That here it showed Mary pregnant with the Lord Jesus, looking like one of them. And they recognized in that image God's great love for them. Not because they adopted something that was foreign, but because that was real. I love that, because as we celebrate this Advent season, we prepare for the coming of Christ, born of the Virgin Mary, who comes to be like us. In all things but sin, he was like us. He lived his life, he worked, he prayed, he played, he laughed, he cried, he ate, he drank, he fasted. He was like us. And that's the great promise of Advent, that he came to be one like us, so that you and I can become like him. That you and I can become like him. That's the hope and the promise of Advent. May it become more and more real in our life today and every day as we journey toward Christmas. Have a blessed Advent season.